This is Lisa Swank, and I'm coming to you for my creative year. And you know, the topic for this month is budget friendly, and then our prompt to think about is use it or lose it. And I discovered using some of my markers last week that a lot of them have dried out. Usually I pick up my art supplies either with a coupon or secondhand or Tuesday morning type thing, and I even noticed that I would get a brand new package from Tuesday morning and a few of the markers would be dried out, but to me it was worth the cost for the other colors that did work. But of course, you know, they're probably old and they do have a shelf life. So what I'm going to be doing this week is going through all of my markers and seeing which ones are dry and which ones are still good. And I'll be probably doing that, you know, just on a piece of paper. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the paints, the craft paints. I think the artist brand paints have a little more shelf life, and I've noticed that some of these, you know, I have a whole drawer of these inexpensive types of paint and craft paints, and they're getting kind of goopy in there, and that's a sign that they really probably need to be shaken up and used up. Which brings me to the next thing. So I'll be going through some of my paints. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is, let me bring it over here. It's a huge, heavy box of things that I have collected. And now is overflowing. Maybe I could zoom out just a little bit. You know, it's painted papers, and it's tissue paper, and it's magazines, advertisements, old newspaper, and I have a huge box of it. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. My camera can only zoom out, but it's a big box. So let me take that back down again. Oh boy, is that heavy. Okay, but so with some of the paints that I'm gonna go through, the craft paints, is I'm gonna paint some of these old newspapers and see if I can use up some of the old paint, and then the paint that's just all dried up, I'm just gonna put in the trash can because they're just taking up space, you know, and I can't really do anything about them. You know, so this is all about use it or lose it. And I may pop back on here a little later and show you some of the painted papers that I do. But essentially, that's what my week has been about. I've been straightening up and reorganizing my craft room after the holidays, because it just turns into the catch-all, or the room where we put something to get it out of the way while we have company. But that's what I've been kind of doing this whole week, is kind of messing around in my craft room. It makes me feel like a sardine when it's so crowded. And so maybe at the end of this, I'll do a shot of my craft room. I don't think I took a before of it, but anyways, that's what I'm going to be working on. And the stuff, I'm either going to decide that I have a use for it, or I'm going to get rid of it, or pass it on to somebody else. But the markers were a little discouraging when I tried using them for, I had to pick up several of them to find one that worked, and that's just silly to have all those markers that aren't working. And I'm not really sure if there's a way of getting them to work, because I'm sure there's still ink in there. I think it was the Frugal Crafter or something that found a way of reconstituting the dried out markers, but I will have to go back and watch one of her videos, I think. But until I pop back on, bye-bye. Okay, just to give you a better shot, I took my camera down of that big box of papers. And then over here in this box is magazines, and the bottom box there is of old cards that came from my grandmother's house, and I need to go through those and decide which ones I want to save, and the others turn into a card journal or something. And I have a couple of boxes like that of hers. I mean, she was 96. So I'll be doing that also along with this. So just to give you an idea of what I'm facing, I'm sure that there's a lot of us that have these boxes full of stuff with the intentions of using them. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, now as an example of some of the paint that I've gone through is, I picked this up probably in a bag at the Goodwill. There were several. If they don't sell, they'll put them in a bag. But this is an example. And, I'll never use that for anything. And it comes in, matter of fact, most of my paper has come from the secondhand stores or Tuesday Morning or something like that. But there is what Cindy calls the ugly papers in there, and I'll never use that in something. So I see how thick that is? That's really thick. This is getting too thick to use for anything. And I'm going to smudge it around here. It's just thick. It's like sap. And if you add a little water to it, you can get it to spread a little bit. But that paint is on its way out. And so I'm going to show you some of the painted papers that I'm making out of that box that's overstuffed. And you know, it's really thick and gooey, and it really needs to be used up or tossed out. And if I can make some pretty papers, collage papers, out of it before I actually throw it out, because I really couldn't paint a picture with that. And because it's so thick. So rather than, because you don't have to toss out everything, you know, if you could think of some other way to, you know, at least I extend the use of the paint this way. I'm not really wasting it. And, but it sure is, and I think this is glaze. And so this may take a little time to dry. I think that card has had it. But, you know, this is going to be some more examples of what I do after this. And I'll speed up that video. But, you know, I may take some gold paint or something to put on there. I thought I had some gold paint out. You know, that way it doesn't get wasted. You know, and you'll be able to use it for collaging down. Yeah, this is gold. And, you know, you could just make some random marks. You know, this is just a lid off of something. And, you know, and once I get it on there, because usually this is thick paint too, and once I get it on there, you can take it and get kind of double your, see if I could find something dark here that I've already done. You can cross over them. Cindy makes really fun papers. If you guys haven't watched her YouTube, you can find her, Cindy. But is what I'm gonna do here now is kind of, you know, it's almost like printing with your jelly plate. You know, you get some marks on there from, and see, I get it on the other side also. And it's, you know, at least your paint isn't going in the garbage can. I could probably do that once more. This is old newspaper. But anyways, I'll speed up some of this stuff, and because, you know, you don't want to see all of it. But the real thick ones, you know, it just kind of transfers over. And, you know, at least you're not wasting the paint. But if it's completely dried out, you know, the only thing that you can do is toss it out. The only paint that stays forever is watercolors. Even if it's dried in the tube, you don't toss those out, because you just cut the tube open and use the chunk of dried paint that's in it, because it's just gum arabic, and it'll reconstitute with water, like you're using a watercolor pan. But anyways, I'll speed up through some of this stuff, and I'll show you my papers at the end. to show you some of my papers. I won't be doing my pins on camera because that just takes too long. And, you know, along with, you know, you can use stamps. I'm going to use one of, I'm on Gina Aaron's design team, but I want to use her scribble stamp for this one, which is really cool. And then I've got some stencils. And I over inked one of my ink pads. Oops. Well, maybe that one wasn't the one over inked. Let me get the other one. We'll see. Yeah, I think it was this one. They're both stays on, and I have a you know, just to put some interest on there. That way I could use it when I need it, when I, you know, for collage paper. And nothing is, maybe, these are cute stamps. You know, just to put some interest into the back. And then, you know, if you decide to do something on it, or I think this bigger one that I have done of the papers. You know, it's just an idea, so you don't have to toss out all your papers. You know, you can use it for something. And then this one, I thought, let me somehow, there is a star. You know, just to put maybe some gold stars on there. Use this little sponge here. You know, and it'll use up your old paint, those papers that you've been keeping, you know, and you don't have to be perfect about it. You know, and just kind of decorate. I don't want this video to get too long, but you get the idea of what I'm talking about. Is you just use up what you have, or, you know, I have plenty of paper, and as of right now, I don't really need to keep any more paper to use. I want to use up what I have, so I'm not saving any more papers. You know, and that looks pretty cute. And I'm just gonna wipe it off on there. Just so I don't waste the paint. But if I just throw it out because it's getting too thick, there's something else that I wanted to But that was a paper that I made a while back out of old newspaper. I hope I'm recording. Yes. And then this one, you know, has almost nothing because I think I just scraped paint off. And I'm going to use these. You know, it's just a fun way of getting things used up. And what is this? This is, oh, this is black. That'll work. See, they're getting thick. And so could have found a bigger sponge, but you know, just to kind of give it some interest in the background. With the old paints, that's going to end up drying up and getting too thick and dried out. You might as well use them up. You know, I'm not buying any more pre-printed papers for a while because I have enough, and then I've got all this stuff that I'm making. So, you know, I'm maybe go around and kind of give it a little sheen in there. Too much. You know, it'll just give it some interest. Okay, well, I think this is the end of my video, and you know, use it or lose it. Pass it on. If you're not really, if it doesn't bring you joy, I've got a lot of things to use up, and maybe I'll do some gold here. You know, it's fun to do. You've used up your supplies, or using up your supplies. But so yeah, that's my video, and now I'm all painty. It's my little cockatoo in the background. Just rub that off a little. You know, and you would just continue all over the paper, but I wanted to thumb through some of the stuff that I had done. There's one. They're sticking a little bit. Oh dear. And there's another, and see that's kind of ugly, but if you put something on top of it, it just adds a background layer. So don't worry about that they're not pretty colors that you're using. And then this is what I did with the gold paint. And then that one. And then this one is, you know, actually my grandkids come over and I have that big newsprint, or I also have butcher paper that they color on. But you know, it ends up like this, and that's all I did is I re-stamped. I may be zoomed in too close. There we go. You know, that's all I did is I went over that was on this side. And you know, that's big enough for a journal cover. You can shred it up for collage. So that is my video, and I hope you enjoyed it, gave you some ideas about what to do. I'm not quite done with my craft room yet, so I doubt it if I'll add that at the end of the video, because I still have a lot of stuff to do in here. All right, thank you so much, and if you like this, give me a thumbs up, please, and hit the subscribe button, and share this. This is a good idea for anybody. So bye bye now.